and that is Courson defeating Canal 2-0. Beyond that, last I heard, it was that Lozano and Tinney had both assembled a win of their end. So we're going to be getting that info up there here pretty shortly. I think we might just be reassembling the situation as it is, and there it is. Lozano up against Perez, both now with a game win apiece. It's Tron up against Mardu, and we are joining in just as Ulamog is going to introduce himself to this board state.
And Ulamog is quite the card. These Tron decks tend to do very well against Thoughtseize strategies. Jose has a Blood Moon in his hand.
Had a Blood Moon on the battlefield as well. It looks like that turn was really defined by a Nature's Claim, eliminating it, which is why we had a tapped Marsh Flats that had been previously used for mana. And now that the Tron lands were unlocked, no longer trapped within this lunar effect, able to come on down, exile a couple of those lands, especially and prioritizing the basics.
Really impressive. This Tron deck, the things it's able to do, moves the moon to the side, makes some big waves. Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger.
Hey, but there's a Lightning Bolt there for Lozano. That's nice. I'm always a fan.
Yeah, Lightning Bolt's just great.
You know? All right, these two Lingering Souls, they're going to try and hold back this Ulamog as long as they can. It is, of course, going to be exiling cards out of the library as well. You know, these Mardu decks, normally you would think if there is a color that can answer something like an Ulamog, it's going to be in that white mana realm. But this Mardu Pyromancer deck generally is going to be a lot more focused on being sort of this black-red deck, using a little bit of access to basics. Is this something to where Jose brought anything to the table that could answer something like this Ulamog, or is he pretty out of luck when it comes down to the indestructible 10-10? New Blood Moon joining the battlefield, by the way.
So right now, Jose's best course of action would be to have something like Emrakul, the Promised End, which I don't think he'd be bringing in this matchup. That's a card out of his sideboard. The white mana for his deck is mostly just a splash. But yeah, it's looking really bad for him.
So there's the potential of having two Eldrazi on the battlefield on opposite sides.
Oh, hold on. Let me do this deck list.
I think if I heard right, I heard that Lozano might be playing an Emrakul, the Promised End, out of the sideboard.
Oh, definitely not in this matchup. But
okay.
So it looks like there is Anguished Unmaking out of
Ooh.
Jose's deck, so he does have a way to get this Ulamog off the battlefield.
Okay, he'd lose 3 life in order to do so. It's a Thragtusk that also joins the battlefield for Antonio Perez. He's going to gain 5 life. He's also got access to a beast. But for Jose, the card that he's looking for as he continues to fire off these lightning bolts is not a Blood Crypt. He offers the Handshake, and that means that Antonio Perez and William Courson are both going to line up the wins necessary to take down their own semifinals match. That means that we now know who is going to be progressing into the finals here at Grand Prix Detroit. It has been a full day of Saturday, 8 rounds of it. Then they battled all the way up to round 14. They found themselves in the semifinals, and now, victorious, they'll be jumping right up into the finals. So this matchup, we know what one of them is, right? You've got PVDDR, and now our other team is going to be consisting of Coulson, Perez, and then was that Lopez as well, the 3 players that we had?
I believe so, yes.
All
so
right.
It looks like we are going to have a matchup where, once again, Paulo is up against humans. We are going to have a matchup where Matt Nass is playing his Hardened Scales deck against Tron, which we've seen before. And we're going to have a matchup where Sam Pardee is playing his Hollow One deck against Chess Guy. So very similar to the matchups that they just played against in this last round.
All right, and that is going to be in the finals, which are upcoming. That is going to be taken over by Riley Knight, as well as Eduardo Sajkalik, and that is going to be coming up right here in Grand Prix Detroit in the finals. We should be right back after this.
Always know the right play to make? Show off your skills at a local preliminary Pro Tour qualifier. With over 2,000 game stores worldwide running PPTQs, find an event near you at magic.wizards.com/PPTQ.
Really good recognition of being so close to lethal that this Celestial Colonnade isn't really killable by Sam Pardee. Himself the best chance to win.
Can continue to pile pressure onto Andrew Lopez.
Yeah, really.
Again, I mean, it has to attack, right? Now, Pardee doesn't have a choice. No one remembers them anymore at all.
Yeah, I remember that lunch.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one, man. Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger very much doing it.
Himself the best chance to win.
I love it. I wish I had put 2 hats on this morning so I could take both of them off to Andrew Lopez. What a master, the way that he navigated those combat steps. We usually see the flurry of burn spells to take an opponent to 0. Instead, he is just getting up. He has opened up a timeshare in Sam Pardee's brain zone, playing this game of psychological warfare. And finally, the straight-up 4-for-1 with Settle the Wreckage. Huge plays from Andrew Lopez.
Those creatures were free. It's like a 0-for-1. They're even giving them lands. But yeah, any untapped land here would be game. A Supreme Verdict, though, buys a ton of time.
A Supreme Verdict as well. Andrew Lopez starts to turn around that corner. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, he says. Here's a blood card entering the battlefield, tapped and attacking. But Lopez is just a single burn spell away from wrapping this one up. Or an untapped land. Celestial Colonnade comes across, and Andrew Lopez, a master. And a masterful performance from him. Sam Pardee, I mean, you can't fault the way that Pardee played there, but ultimately just not enough.
No, and I really like this recognition by Andrew Lopez. Why am I trying to deal with the board? Any land wins, any Snapcaster wins. I have Settle the Wreckage. I have plenty of time to come back into this game if it fails, and I'm giving myself the best chance to win.
I love it. I love it. Picking his moment there as we see an Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger coming off of 4 Tron lands here for Antonio Perez. Going to sacrifice a Sanctum of Ugin as well. But Matt Nass, the 18th of his name here, he's playing Grobots. Hardened Steel Affinity. And two permanents being exiled, of course, to this hungry boy. He'll eat anything. He's like the pigs in Lock, Stock, and 2 Smoking Barrels. Eat anything at all, including Steel Overseas. He'll crunch up those robots, no worries.
It's actually a different type of crunch, right? You remove them from existence.
Yeah.
What I can't remember, I don't know if chat can help us find this card. There's a card that specifically says, nothing will be remembered of you. Your existence will be removed. I can't remember the exact flavor text, but there's a Magic card that is so evocative.
I mean, that's exactly what happens when I sit down opposite a cheeseburger. I have a very good matchup against cheeseburgers. They are just removed from existence. No one remembers them anymore at all.
Yeah, I remember that lunch.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one, man. Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger very much doing an impersonation of me in front of 2 cheeseburgers here. As he knocks them back, one after the other. No worries, these Steel Overseers. Let's see if this world-renowned Lil Dicky impersonator can get it done here in the finals of another GP. Can I point something out here? This is Polavita Damaderosa's 4th GP top 4, fourth Team GP top 4 this season, which is insane. Matt Nass has won. He's made $500 million GP top 8s so far as well, and he's won 2 of them. He's well on his way to a third.
The joke, by the way, is that Matt Nass and Sam Pardee will always top 4 Team GPs. Just the next person, we're not quite sure who they are.
Yeah. That's it. That's it.
Here, it was kind of interesting. Let's see. Okay, without the Sanctum of Ugin, and Antonio Perez didn't have access to 10 mana to recast an Ulamog. Since Matt Nass is pretty far behind here, the only real line that was open to Matt Nass to try to steal this game was getting that Inkmoth Nexus along with an Arcbound Ravager, since I would get to lethal damage, along with evasion, which is very important.
Ancient Stirrings now here for Antonio Perez as Matt Nass. It has been suggested the 18 next to his name, he's not the 18th Matt Nass. We don't order them by number. That would be a decent system. He's the 18th ranked player in the world, and in no small thanks to the fact that he has had such huge success at the GP level.
Yeah, I mean, it's just taking over. I believe.
I mean, there have been people who have been calling, we talk about bans in Modern to balance the format, make sure it's healthy, bring cards on and off the ban list, that sort of stuff. There's calls to ban Matt Nass from Modern.
Yeah, that still seems unfair.
That may bring balance to the force here, but I tell you what, I don't want to see him anywhere near the Modern ban list. This guy's fantastic.
Yeah, and deciding not to play his trademark Clarkline Ironworks deck, recognizing that there was probably going to be a lot of hate for that deck and that many players were going to target it. And that's something we saw at the kind of middle stages of day 2, how the players that were coming to the top had a game plan against Clarkline Ironworks. So decided to play the Hardened Scales deck in order to fight on a different axis.
So no attacks with the Ulamog here, and Perez also not deploying the second one that he's got in hand.
The Ulamog here not attacking, and the other one not being cast. There wasn't access to 10 mana, and we didn't attack here with Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger, since there was for Matt it would have been blocked with Arcbound Worker and regenerated Welding Jar, or simply he let the Arcbound Worker die, put the counters on Inkmoth Nexus, and then you're potentially in trouble.
So Matt Nass playing the Throne of Geth. That is his by right.
This is okay. Let's see. The Inkmoth Nexus, I believe, here can attack 5 in the air. If we sacrifice the Arcbound Worker to Throne of Geth, then Nexus is a 1/1. You add, you get 2 counters from Worker, then you get 1 more from Hardened Scale, so it goes to 4, and then Throne of Geth proliferates to 5.
An attack with the Inkmoth Nexus going to put Perez on 1 poison counter just now.
By the way, you can Throne of Geth proliferates poison counters for people who forgot about that
it's
part.
Pretty hot. It's pretty hot. We saw a little bit of table piano from Perez there as he tapped out some Gershwin, obviously counting up what he's up against. I can see his hand full of action, and now the Ceaseless Hunger is going to take a second plate to this lunch buffet here. 20 cards off the top of Matt Nass's library. And has a quick look at them.
I mean, we know the deck list, but I mean, you look at them to try to figure out what Matt could draw or not draw. But here, the idea is just free attacks from Ulamog. So we're going to probably cast the second Ulamog, removing Inkmoth Nexus and either Throne of Geth or Hardened Scales. It just depends how Matt Nass blocks here. We could also take care of both creatures, removing Inkmoth Nexus and Arcbound Worker.
Very important update from the back tables there. You may have already noticed that Paula Vida Dama de Rosa has beaten William Courson in straight sets and in record time as well. Band Spirits getting it done here. So that's a good result for the players on the right, already off to the races in a major way.
Yeah, we've only had 1 game resolve on the other 2 matches.
Yeah, that's right. And PV's is like, man, I want to get to dinner. I'm a busy boy.
PV an expert with those aggro tempo decks.
Absolutely. I wanted to see more of the Band Spirits list, but that'll have to wait for another day here as PV takes his opponent to the cleaners. Speaking of which, here's Perez as well, about to take out the trash with another copy of Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger. It is just a $5.99 all-you-can-eat buffet here.
By the way, both being, well, one's on the stack and one's in play, so first you target what you exile, of course.
Because it's a cast trigger, not a when it enters the battlefield trigger. Unusual, but a bit of an incentive for tapping out for a 10-drop, just so it doesn't eat a counterspell and do stone cold nothing.
Yeah, I mean, for 10 mana it's pretty fair, but then the question arises, is it fair with 4 lands or by tapping, either Aetherworks Marvel for people who remember that particular Scorch.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was rough stuff there. Throne of Geth now.
Yeah, so you can sacrifice the Inkmoth that's about to get exiled. I do wonder what the second permanent that was targeted is. Okay, the Throne.
It was the Throne itself, so obviously you can't double activate the Throne there as it requires the tap cost to be paid. And now Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger Part 2, Electric Boogaloo, comes down and may be getting ready to exile the second half of Nass's library. I'm not sure how much he's got left here.
Matt shaking his hands together, probably looking for a Walking Ballista.
That'll do it. That'll get very, that'll actually do it, right?
Well,
it doesn't have any way to sacrifice the worker.
Yeah, and that's why the Throne of Geth was probably targeted.
This was a very, very important piece of that puzzle here. Here's Nass with a 1-drop. It's an animation module. All right.
That card doesn't do much here.
It puts another poison counter on Antonio Perez. No, it doesn't do much, does it? You can make a servo to block at least.
You need 1 more mana for that since it costs 3 to activate.
Oh, and then 1 to pay. Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah.
So an Ugin the Spirit Dragon, not at its best against opposing colorless lists, but hey, you'll take a Lightning Bolt where you can get it, even if it costs 8 mana here. Looks like Perez is still figuring out exactly how he wants to pay for the Spirit Dragon.
Yeah, so here the plan, probably use Ugin, the Spirit Dragon, put Matt Nass down to 1, and then just sit back with that Ulamog.
So the Arcbound Worker is going to stick around as a 5/5 thanks to the activation of the animation module. Matt Nass on 4.
A Walking Ballista would do it. You attack with Arcbound Worker, and Antonio is forced to block it or would die. And then at that point, if it dies, you can just put the counters on.
Yeah.
It's really just down to Walking Ballista.
So, of course, Perez choosing not to attack there. Back to Matt Nass. What has he found off the top? Can he steal this game out of nowhere? Looks like it's going to cost 2 mana. Oh, he's really making us work for it. What have you got, my friend? It's an Arcbound Ravager. Is that enough here to make another servo token? No attacks from the Ulamog last time. It looks like Perez is holding it back.
If Matt Nass is correctly, I mean, I believe Matt Nass was at 4 last turn. So if Matt Nass goes to 1, I believe if Matt Nass is at 4, then this is totally fine because it puts a wide board and then the Ravager's perfect to kind of distribute.
To put the counters wherever he needs them, right?
But if Matt Nass is at 1, which would be considering the life totals last turn, then Ugin the
No,
Spirit
no. The Spirit Dragon went after the Arcbound Worker. And that's why he put the counters on it.
Wait, what?
I think that's what happened there. The life totals are correct. He targeted the Arcbound Worker with the Ghostfire ability of Ugin.
Oh my.
Yeah.
I mean the plan was just
But a
free
walking
damage
ballista.
space.
A walking ballista thanks to the ancient stirrings of Antonio Perez. Is that going to be enough here, Eduardo?
Yeah, it's more than enough. I mean, you just need to deal 1 damage on top of the Ugin the Spirit Dragon.
That's right. Well, he finally puts the pieces of the puzzle together here, Antonio Perez, and picks up a handy Game 1 win against Matt Nass. I will tell you this, Nass made him work for it, though. Oh, my goodness. The game went on for several turns longer than you might have thought it would, and that means we jump back now to Lopez against Sam Pardee. The thing is here, and this is not a knock against William Courson.
Matt Nass is quite close to being able to attack.
Too good, overloading the removal of Andrew Lopez. In Game 1, he chained, settled the wreckages into Supreme Verdicts and played very convincingly, and not so in Game number 2. So we're going to go to a third game between these two, but here we are with Antonio Perez and Matthew Nass. Nass on the new Affinity 2.0 list here with Hardened Scales, Grobots, as some people are calling it, which I quite like.
That's actually a pretty nice name.
I like it a lot.
But
I definitely thought of it myself and didn't read it out of chat. Definitely, 100%. Expedition map to play now for Perez. Matt Nass has got things, got things off to a decent start with a Welding Jar, Throne of Geth, Arcbound Ravager.
Ancient Stirrings.
Yep. It's all coming up Pardee, or it's all coming up Nass, I should say.
But this combination of Inkmoth Nexus and Arcbound Ravager, so powerful. I think Matt can actually Fred and Lethal. That said, Antonio Perez should have access to Free Nature's Claim, so it's not a free attack. Welding Jar, so Regeneration is kind of a weird ability, and I'll recap what it does, because if you're kind of newer to Magic, it won't make sense. But one of the less obvious parts of Regeneration, so you may be wondering, what is Regeneration? It saves your creature from being destroyed or lethal damage. But unlike, say, what R&D prefers today with Indestructible, what Regeneration does is it replaces a destruction via lethal damage or a direct destruction effect by tapping the permanent. So Matt Nass is quite close to being able to attack with a lethal Inkmoth Nexus. There's not much that's required. That said, yeah, if Antonio Perez had access to Nature's Claim, Welding Jar would be able to save it, but then it would still be removed from combat. That said, Antonio Perez shields down this turn. Only Urza's Tower and Urza's Mine. So if Matt Nass can go for it, I mean, there's Spatial Contortion, which is a pretty good answer. But apart from that...
But a very specific one, too. It's not always... it's not always the best card to have. In this situation, very good, but situation.
Right, but you would board it in because your opponent has a bunch of creatures such as Steel Overseer that you need to kill. So Antonio Perez will have definitely boarded in Spatial Contortion. And Welding Jar doesn't save Inkmoth Nexus for that. So if Matt Nass goes all in, and then Inkmoth Nexus gets Spatial Contortioned, then that's a total disaster. But Matt Nass may go for it because Antonio Perez untapping with Tron, that's not a desirable situation either.
Yes, it'd be very bad news here. Although we will see what Nass's next move is with the Tin Man All-Star Band. Another Riley Knight original. Definitely didn't poach that from another revered viewer. But an attack now with the Inkmoth Nexus as well as the Arcbound Ravager. Splitting the... Rewind. After that initial very frisky attack, we may see something else happen here with an... well, look at this. That makes good sense. Playing the Mox Opal if we're going to start sacrificing creatures to Arcbound Ravager.
I mean, we could have used Mox Opal to animate Inkmoth Nexus, but better to not compound potential there. But yeah, here, Yeah, Antonio Perez just taking the damage right away. Let's see, if Arcbound Ravager had sacrificed Throne of Geth and Welding Jar, that had been +5 infect, so it wouldn't have been lethal. So we were kind of one off anyways. You know, as a general.
Oh, right. They're just not
the royal we.
Not the royal we. Yes, that's better. That's better stuff from you. I'm going to hold you accountable, my friend. Because certainly out of the two of us, there's certainly one of us that tends to, make a lot more mistakes while commentating.
That's totally fair.
That's totally fair. Doesn't matter which one. I'm not here to point fingers, Eduardo. I'll leave that to the audience to decide.
By the way, here in this situation, I just find it better if you identify with one of the players. And with Ancient Stirrings, well, I don't know. Ancient Stirrings is so powerful. Just mounting together these combos, like, you can just decide what angle you want to attack on.
Yeah.
Matt, growing the Arcbound Ravager simply because later down the line it might combine with Walking Ballista, and it threatens a lot of damage with Inkmoth Nexus.
Here's Khan liberated, however, for Antonio Perez. Turn 4 Khan this time around. Didn't have it on turn 3, so unlucky.
I mean, that's more typical, of course. Turn 3 Karn feels
they've always got turn 3 Khan.
Yeah.
They've always got it.
Yeah, definitely go for Inkmoth Nexus here. Getting Ravager would just lead to you most likely dying. So, yeah.
And the Inkmoth Nexus is going to be sacrificed. Woken up first, turned into an artifact, sacrificed to the Arcbound Ravager here. So Khan liberated. Is liberated from his dinner, unfortunately. Big robot boy going to have to wait until supper is served now. And we'll see what NASA's next play is, as he's down to 3 forests, Arcbound Ravager, Throne of Geth, and a Welding Jar. Ooh, thinks about the attack with the Arcbound Ravager. He's very trigger happy with these attacks, often takes them back too.
Yeah. By the way, just to point out, we need flavor to be correct, right? Is Karn really a robot?
I think so. I mean, he's made of metal.
It's a golem.
Okay, golem. All right, yep. Yeah, well, I mean, are golems not just animated robots?
That is a more difficult question.
Well, no, I think so, because robots are machines built as labor-saving devices, right?
Are golems meant to save labor?
Have you read a single Discworld book? That's all they do. That's all they do. It depends what flavor universe we're in here.
Yeah.
I stand by, can't robot. I stand by that statement.
Fair enough. We'll have we'll have people as an artifact creature. You would be correct.
Yes, I agree.
Now, in this situation, the play I alluded to earlier, Nature's Claim on Arcbound Ravager happened with Welding Jar saving the Arcbound Ravager, but Karn Liberated is going to finish it off. Right.
So,
and you also do it pre-combat because it taps the Ravager and you take no damage.
Khan liberated from the battlefield here. We'll see what Perez wants to follow it up with.
Yeah, and Perez in a pretty commanding position. Madnass is not offering much. And yeah, a Walking Ballista for 4.
Yeah, this is huge here now for Perez, getting a very respectable threat onto the battlefield. And with a 1-0 game score lead against Matt Nass, and looking like he's going to really close it out on the back of these huge threats he's playing, it may come down to a final showdown between Andrew Lopez and Sam Pardee, who are locked at 1-1. We are holding that game, so you're going to get to see it in all its glory if that's the way that the cookie indeed crumbles.
Yeah, and even this Walking Ballista just kills everything. Like, that Madnass could play. You just add counters, and then you can just target the... oh, sorry, we have more spells. We don't require more spells, but we have more spells.
Now a Walking Ballista for 500,000 as Perez continues to dump these creatures into the battlefield. A 4-4 and a 6-6 Ballista, one of which is going to immediately take down this Arcbound Worker.
Yeah, so you target it once, then twice. Antonio Perez shortcutting, but normally you would target it once, make sure the damage resolves, then target it again.
And I think we're going to see it just traded in for a poison counter here. Nass wisely not choosing to proliferate the counters on the Walking Ballista. And in comes the 4-4.
Yeah, and this is presenting, let's see, Mad Nass is going to 20. This is a 2-turn clock if Matt draws nothing, since you can just add a counter to each Walking Ballista, putting Matt to 10 from an attack, and then remove all the counters.
So that's a 1-turn clock, right? He just wins next turn.
Yeah.
But Nass does have the Arcbound Ravager. Can Perez clear the Ravager out of the way here and get in for lethal? It's a big ask, but there may be ways for him to do it. Both Ballistae untapped here. Back to Perez.
I'm trying to wonder if Matt can get there by proliferating in time, since...
It's getting close, dude. He's up on 7 poison counters.
The problem is, even if you top decked another Throne of Geth, you go to 9, you're just 1 off. And these Walking Ballistas won't likely kill Madnass this turn, but they're very likely to next.
An animation module to put an extra counter on? It doesn't look likely in any case here.
Animation module. It's roughly the same as Throne of Geth top deck. Yeah. So, yeah, we're just 1 poison off. I mean,
so close.
Yeah, I don't see a card that Matt could draw in this spot. I mean, we're just, 2 damage off lethal here.
Yeah. Nas takes 9 down to 11 off the top. One last chance for him to find something to put himself in. It doesn't find it. Antonio Perez evens up the ledger with Polavita Damarosa winning his match. Antonio Perez winning his. We now go to our last table for the last game in the last match of this tournament. GP Detroit, the format, of course, Team Unified Modern, Riley Knight, Eduardo Sajgalik in the booth. And it all comes down to this, the final game between Andrew Lopez, Sam Pardee. Sam Pardee, as we have seen on Hollow 1, but he's facing off against Andrew Lopez, who has played masterfully with Jeskai control.
Yeah, I've been very impressed by Andrew's play, and I'm very excited for this game. Worth noting again, for those who aren't as familiar with the team GP structure, winning second place team, $7,500, splitting that freeways. Winning team, $15,000, $5,000 per player.
Yeah, it's a nice little payday. Nice little bucket of clams there for the winning team. And Pardee off to an aggressive start with a Flame Blade Adept. This guy can really he hits hard, he hits early, hits often.
Yes. Unfortunately, against blue-white, it's a very powerful threat.
Yeah, I guess Lightning Bolt is a very clean answer to it, huh?
Indeed, and it doesn't put you ahead. That said, if Andrew Lopez doesn't have it,
and I don't think he does. Steam Vent's coming to play tapped. Now a Street Wraith here for Pardee.
I mean, this is the key turn for Sam Pardee. If Sam can really put the pressure this turn, then it'll dictate the pace of the game. You want to really get as much pressure as you can before turn 4, before Cryptic Command comes into play, before Supreme Verdict, Settle the Wreckage. You really need to be on the board so that your opponent can't do turn 4, lock your board, turn 5, Lyra Dawnbringer, or Baneslayer.
Yeah, that's right. You need to be well and truly into it with your opponent under a lot of pressure, as a Faithless Looting is going to pump up this particular Jara Jam, this Flame Blade Adept, as he's going to get a +1/+0. Attacking in for 4 this turn. Not a bad swing here.
I mean, of course, you have to keep the 1-drop, even though it doesn't trade too favorably with something like a Lightning Bolt, because when it does connect, it's just worth it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Also, you have to, pressure Jeskai, and one of the ways to do so is with cheap threats.
So Pardee discards a Mountain here. Presumably he's got another land in hand. He did have a Goblin Law he could have deployed, but opting not to do that. Instead, the Adept is going to get busy.
Yeah, and obviously Andrew Lopez knows that Sam has access to another land, since this would not be a spot to discard a Mountain.
And a Hollow One as well, being cast for free after that Faithless Looting and the Street Wraith being played this turn. That's good stuff from Pardee, as he does what you said he needs to, gets on the board early, applies that pressure before Supreme Verdict and Settle the Wreckage can come down to really throw those blue-white spanners into this works.
Yeah, and Andrew Lopez really needs something like Path to Exile this turn, either on the Flame Blade Adept or the Hollow One, just to buy enough time to get to those powerful 4-mana spells.
So an attack with the Adept here will be for 4.
Sam is just at 13.
Or is there another Faithless Looting? A Burning Inquiry as well!
If there's a Path to Exile, we're going to see it fired off now.
Yes, it has to be, because otherwise Lopez might lose it to the Inquiry.
I mean, Flame Blade Adapt is 7 damage.
Attacking for 7 on turn 2!
Yeah. So, I mean, they have Lightning Bolt, but yeah, and by the way, that Steam Vent's taking the place of a fetch land. With a fetch land, you could wait, see what you draw, and then decide to, play a Lightning Bolt in case your opponent goes Burning Inquiry. But in this case,
I mean, if Lopez draws the Lightning Bolt, he's going to feel like a bit of a goose.
Right, but I mean, it's correct. You don't have Lightning Helix, you don't have Lightning Bolt. I mean, you're taking 2 damage on the hope that there's a Burning Inquiry. Surgical on Faithless Looting is a little strange.
Okay. All right. Well, he has a look at the hand here. A Gurmag Angler, Goblin Law, and a Bloodstained Maya there.
I mean, if you Surgical Extraction, Faithless Looting, then you're trying to think. My view is when you do that play in a spot like this, your angle is, I am really far ahead.
Yes, really that's it, isn't it? Yeah, that's what I thought too. It's like, it's not a desperation Surgical hoping to, put an opponent back, pull them back into the match. It means that it's sort of the thing. I'm ahead and I want to stay ahead.
Yeah, I mean, firing. I would be like in this spot, discarding Surgical Extraction to Faithless Looting. To Burning Inquiry would be totally okay. You don't lose 2 life. This isn't a spot with the Flamewake Phoenix or Bloodghast.
Man, I don't think you should play the cards just for the sake of it. But here we are going to see a Burning Inquiry get it done. No Path to Exile being cast by Andrew Lopez. 3 cards off the top. Let's have a look at what we're going to discard here. Both players discarding them randomly, of course.
Yeah, I think I would have just not fired off that Surgical Extraction in this spot.
So out of these 8, looks like we're going to start rolling some dice here.
I like the picking it.
I think it's fine.
Like the cards are totally random. It's fine.
Well, Atomely Reinforcements is not the card that Lopez wanted to see hit the bin, but the Cryptic and the Flooded Strand perhaps less of an issue for him. Let's see what Pardee discards here.
Secure the Waste. I don't believe there's a Timely Reinforcement, which would be a great card, but I think it's Secure the Waste, which is not quite as good.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry, it is Secure the Waste.
Yeah, and Sam just getting rid of Gangler, and yeah, this is a ton of damage.
Yeah, it's huge.
If Andrew drew a Path to Exile, this would be so huge.
But he doesn't. Nope. No, he doesn't. Takes a clean 7. Takes a clean 7 off of that Flameblade Adept.
1 red deals 7. I'm still around.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And leaving behind yellow 1/2 that can do it all again next turn. Let's see what Lopez is up to now. On turn 3, already on 11.
That was a long turn too.
That was a big turn too.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff happened.
Yeah, I mean, Sulfur Fall. I mean, yeah, if Andrew had drawn a Lightning Bolt or Lightning Helix, that would have been so disgusting.
Yeah, it would have been a lot better there. Lopez now needs an answer to these creatures. Sam Pardee serving for the match here as well. Let's remind ourselves of the stakes. They couldn't be higher. They're right at the top shelf of the butcher shop, my friends, because both Andrew Lopez and Sam Pardee can conceal this particular deal for their team.
Yeah, this is the last game of the last match of the tournament.
That's it.
This is tournament point.
It's not game point, match point, set point. It is tournament point. Goblin Law is going to make the Flameblade Adept once again power up that lightsaber and really get in for a bunch. Another Burning Inquiry there hits the bin, as well as what looks like a Thoughtseize, I think.
Yeah, it's Burning Inquiry, Flameblade Adept, Thoughtseize. Here, Andrew really needs an interaction spell.
He needs something here.
A Lightning Bolt, a Lightning Helix, something.
Well, for 3 mana, it's going to be an Electrolyze to get rid of the Flameblade Adept. Draws a card.
I like my removal with value.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice. It's a nice play there for Lopez as he continues to try to keep himself in it here. Down to 7.
It's important to have velocity so that you can deal. You want to keep paths kind of for Hollow One. I mean, Lightning Helix would have been a totally great answer too, but you need the velocity.
Another Flameblade Adept to repair some of the damage there. Pardee replacing the 1/2 with a freshie. And we're back to Lopez now, who has now got to turn 4, a critical turn when it comes to playing, any blue-white based deck.
Yeah, obviously losing the Cryptic Command to Burning Inquiry earlier, not great, since that's the card you most want to have access to, most want to represent. Something like returning the Hollow One to hand and drawing a card, or just buying time with a Fog is like tapping all creatures, drawing, and then getting into your powerful cards. Supreme Verdict would be pretty nice here, actually.
Yeah, especially seeing as both of these creatures aren't recursive threats. I mean, Supreme Verdict against a field full of Bloodghasts and Flamewake Phoenixes isn't always where you want to be, but against a Hollow Boy and a Flameblade Adept here.
Yeah, well, Andrew Lopez does need a second white source, and yeah, the whole team consulting on what to do. But I've been very impressed by Andrew's play, and yeah, okay, so we have access to Lightning Helix in hand. As well as it seemed like there was either I just saw the outline of either a Cryptic or a Supreme Verdict, like some powerful 4-mana spell.
The thing is, without double white, Settle and Supreme Verdict aren't going to be good enough. I think I can see a Lightning Helix at least, so that's
and there's
something.
A Cryptic Command.
There is a
triple
Cryptic?
blue, so
all right. Okay. All right. So we're not dead in the water yet, says Andrew Lopez. We've still got some fight left in this old horse.
Yeah, and here Sam, because Flameblade Adept kind of needs pre-combat spells, you get to deal with those first. But Andrew Lopez saying, yeah, this attack is okay.
This attack's fine. We're going to fire off this Lightning Helix almost certainly here. Let's see what the first... oh, no, it's a Cryptic Command?
Yeah, here you can bounce the Hollow
bounce. All right.
Yeah, that makes sense. You only take 1 damage from Flameblade Adept.
I mean, I was sort of locked into Flameblade Adept dealing 4 or 7. I was thinking, oh, he's still going to take a pasting. But no, just 1. Just the lonely 1 damage. And all of a sudden now, Lopez Might actually be in a decent spot to try to turn the corner. He's still got a lot of work to do here.
Yeah, with Sam Pardee having access to Flamewake Phoenix in hand, decided not to play it to not run into Cryptic plus or settle the wreckage. So it's a question here what Sam's line are. I think I saw Hollow One's Flamewake Phoenix, and not much else.
So just the old post-combat Flamewake Phoenix here, of course. Interesting to see that because he didn't have to worry about or settle the wreckage just that turn there.
That's true. Without the access to the double white, there's a question whether that Flamewake Phoenix should have been cast first.
I think so. I mean, maybe just wanted to wait and see. We don't know exactly what's in hand there. Looks like another Phoenix in hand there for Pardee.
Yeah. For sure you want to cast Phoenix this turn. The question is, should you do it pre-combat or not?
So Lopez still with access to that Lightning Helix, so can put himself back up to 9 should he so choose. Here's another land. Is it a white source? That's going to be the question here.
You're a little less worried about the card's Lightning Bolt in post-port games since that's likely the card to come out.
Celestial Colonnade.
It's been a card of the tournament.
It's been fantastic. I love this card, but it's coming to play tap right now, so not threatening that settle here for Lopez.
It looks like we have access to Peak, Lightning Helix, and some other cards.
All right, let's see what he wants to use. There's another Flamewake Phoenix put on the stack. What's Lopez's response here? I don't know that he's got something to deal with it. It's going to enter the battlefield at least. Attack with all 3. You're going to get you for 5, Lopez, old son. But of course, we know the Lightning Helix is standing by, ready to be deployed.
That's kind of tragic. Sam Pardee has access to 2 Hollow Ones in hand.
Only just can't cast them. Well, here's a peek. Let's have a look at those Hollow Ones. Hollow 2, in fact.
Yeah, Collective Brutality, though, could discount them down the line. But you need access to a lot of cards, unfortunately.
So let's have a look now and see what Lopez's next move is. Almost certainly the Lightning Helix, unless he can find something spicy with that peak.
The actual most ridiculous play Sam Pardee could have gone for if he decided Lopez had nothing was to go Collective Brutality, double discard, and try to go for Lethal.
Oh, yeah, go down to...
Well, you can't -2/-2, but at least discard 1. But, yeah, it's correctly does not do so in my view.
Yeah, not going to just slam all the spaghetti at the wall and hope it all sticks. 3 mana here. It's going to be Field of Ruin, all right. Is there a Bolt, perhaps, in Lopez's hand now?
He top-decked the Path to Exile.
Ah, I see. So he can Field of Ruin, go and get a Plains, and then cast that.
Yeah, and he knows that Sam has access to 2 Hollow Ones and a Collective Brutality, so Field of Ruin would be fine. But I kind of prefer the Lightning Helix here.
I think so. It's just buffering that life total, keeping yourself at a healthy 5 life here.
Yeah. You know, keep the path, because you really want to use Path on Flamewake Phoenix. I mean, I guess if you Path to Exile the Flamewake Phoenix and take this damage, you would have gone to... Okay, so you would have taken free, you were at 6, so you go to free, and then you Lightning Helix the Flamewake Adept. So maybe the other order was fine, pathing the Phoenix. Okay. It's not the most mana-efficient play, though. I actually used Field of Ruin up, so... Maybe the path here was slightly better, and these games are won on inches. It's tough to say now, and it's tough to say in a game like this. You know, you've played so long a tournament. Marginal plays like that are what games are made of, but it's really hard to get, to think about them all the time and try to get them right.
Flamewake Phoenix both comes in. We're going to block with a Celestial Colonnade by the look of things. You have to pay mana for that, my friend.
He was just pointing at it.
I was just pointing at asking. Okay, sure. It's just the way to just I'll block with this.
I kind of like going Celestial Colonnade, blocking Phoenix, and then
pathing the other one. Yeah.
However, you're going to open yourself up to a Collective Brutality here. Being able to kill that Celestial Colonnade since it would have taken 2 damage.
Oh, yeah, actually, that's rough stuff there for Lopez. Is that what he wants to open? I love Peak. He's got access to this technology because of Peak. Not something that we see too often, but yeah, sure. Doing its best impersonation of Gitaxian. Even better than Gitaxian Probe. Cast it instant speed.
Well...
Peak. Banned in Legacy next week. Let's see.
Nah, I'm okay with Peak.
Path to Exile now on the Flamewake Phoenix. Of course, exactly the kind of card you want to deal with the recursive threat that is the 2/2 that comes back from the graveyard again.
Yeah, and Andrew Lopez essentially deciding not to go for the Colonnade, knowing that Collective Brutality would be likely quite powerful. Is that
3 mana here with... Oh, no, sorry, a Field of Ruin activation, all right.
Does Andrew Lopez have access to a Snapcaster Mage in hand?
Well, if he does, then that means that that Path to Exile can be leveraged once again. Pardee goes and finds a mountain this time.
I saw a blue card.
It is Snip Snap, look at that. And a path as well, so Lopez takes 0. He's stabilizing magnificently here.
It's not just stabilizing. I mean, Sam has to Sam doesn't have black mana because he had that swamp from earlier, so he can't search it on Field of Ruin. Good recognition by Andrew that there's no black mana accessible this turn by Sam Pardee, barring a top deck. And without black mana, then Andrew Lopez can just Celestial Colonnade and Snapcaster potentially.
I think he fetched out the swamp with the first path. In any case, he doesn't have access to black. That's true.
Yeah, but good recognition. You know,
Yeah.
Sam only has one swamp, so as a result, you know that there's no black mana to cast Collective Brutality, borrowing Sam having drawn one, and then you force Sam to play a really land that he would prefer to discard. There's not many lands that come into play untapped this late that produce black mana in Sam Pardee's deck.
So, Pardee, post-combat here, is going to play a hollow one?
He's not playing it.
Oh, he's cycling it.
I think this might be, in combat once the mana's floated.
Okay. Oh, because of the Field of Ruin. Yeah, he's cycling away. I forgot that the hollow one has cycling. And what's he found with the cycle here? He's got another hollow one in hand, of course.
It's a Burning Inquiry, and I'm pretty sure we...
So you want to...
I think Sam has to fire it off.
Yeah, and just hope to hold on to one of the at least a hollow one there.
Yeah, and you can pretty much figure out that Andrew most likely has access to at least one powerful spell in hand. I mean, land is possible, but I think you have to fire off this Burning Inquiry and hope for the best.
So, Burning Inquiry for both players now. Draw 3, discard 3 at random. Let's see how fortune favors these two. It's not often that we see random effects like this at the top tables of Magic, but here we are. This is the world we live in now. So, 3 cards hitting the bin here for Lopez. And 3 cards hitting the bin here for Pardee. He'll be hoping that the cards that he gets to keep have some number of hollow ones. Oh, but he's discarding one of them. Oh, no!
At least there's a Bloodghast. And look at what Andrew Lopez discarded. Lightning Bolt and Lightning Helix.
That's bad. The bad news for both of them here. Pardee with a Goblin Lore in hand now.
And another black card?
Looks like he's going to have to ship it back to Lopez. Is there anything else he can cast here? Thoughtseize.
Oh, there's a Black Leaf Cliffs. Okay, so
Okay.
so Sam Pardee is wondering whether to play the Black Leaf Cliffs or not.
Opts against it. Back to Lopez now. Both of these players tied up at 1-1. This game poised on a knife's edge, ladies and gentlemen. Here at GP Detroit, this is the final, of course. A 1-1 game score against a 1-1 match score, as PV won his game and match indeed against William Courson. Antonio Perez won his games and match against Matt Nass. So Andrew Lopez and Sam Pardee, as we've said, serving for the tournament for their respective teams.
If Andrew Lopez has access to some expensive spells here, then the line is going to be to probably attack with Snapcaster Mage or keep it back for a Bloodghast and aim to outvalue. But if Andrew Lopez drew a lot of air, then we're going to see Celestial Colonnade start getting in. Oh, no, we got value. We're good. We're good.
All right, Jace the Mind Sculptor coming down now.
By the way, one of the nicest plays that Andrew Lopez has access to, if he has an additional mana, is bouncing Snapcaster Mage.
Yeah, a great value play. One of my favorite things to do with the Celestial Colonnade is, with a Cryptic Command.
Yeah, and doing it with Jace, right. But if Andrew Lopez doesn't have the land, then you're obviously brainstorming in this spot.
All right, so Lopez brainstorms, draws 3. Going to put 2 back on top, of course. Let's see what his next move is. Steam Vents comes into play. Tap back to Pardee now. Thoughtseize in hand for him in addition to a Goblin Lore.
I wonder if Andrew Lopez is
That's a Burning Inquiry.
Played around a possible Thoughtseize by putting an important card on top. It's definitely a play you could make, but in this spot, you want access to your spells. So probably Andrew Lopez isn't playing around a Thoughtseize in this spot, and it's going to be good for Sam. But then again, does Sam really want Thoughtseize? You need pressure. So maybe the line is to go Burning Inquiry or Goblin Lore. Yeah, and there's the Burning Inquiry. Sam okay with the card disadvantage, rather play the cheaper card and try to get ahead that way.
So again, Pardee going to have to roll those bones and see if he can avoid a bad result here. Both players, of course, drawing 3, discarding 3. And Goblin Lore and 2 lands hit the bin. That's good news for Pardee here. One of the 3 cards he's kept, but also Search for Azcanta and 2 lands for Lopez. So this one favoring a little bit better here. Cycle away the Street Wraith. Pardee, freshie off the top. Did you see what that was, Eduardo?
I saw, is that a Flamewake Phoenix?
Yeah, Flamewake
and a
Phoenix.
Thoughtseize. So here, Andrew Lopez is at 5, and you're just hoping does not have access to cheap removal. I think the line, well, we have, Sam Pardee also has Arid Misa. So there's a good question about playing the Arid Misa getting... I think Sam has access to a third mountain. Yeah, you also get blood gas back, so this is definitely the right line. The question is, do you Fotsies or not by getting a dual land?
2 hasty creatures here coming in. The Bloodghast has haste, of course, because Lopez under 10 life. And is he going to go down to 1 here? He can line up the block with the Snapcaster Mage, of course, but Sam Pardee putting as much pressure as he can. He knows that he's not favored the longer this game goes.
Yeah, not in a spot like this, not with Jace the Mind Sculptor. Snapcaster Mage here blocking Bloodghast would turn Snapcaster Mage into gaining 2 life, since Bloodghast would just be able to come back from this fetch land. And Andrew's wondering, do I just go to 1 here, knowing that it's very unlikely that Sam Pardee kept in Lightning Bolt? It wasn't like a card I saw really in game 2. So from there, being at 1 is probably safe if I can deal with the board. But then Flamewake Phoenix, then I have to block every creature that comes from there. So it depends on the interaction. I mean, but tapping 2 mana? 2 mana indicates that, does Andrew Lopez have? Well, I mean, a Lightning Helix would be very unlikely, but a Celestial Purge has a decent chance of being in hand here. Yeah, Celestial Purge on Phoenix. Trade. Snapcaster for 2 life, totally fine. You don't balance it with Jace the Mind Sculptor, but you get to Brainstorm, which is more than acceptable.
So Pardee now thinking about this Thoughtseize, but ultimately opts against it. Back to Lopez now. Got a Jace online, a Celestial Colonnade should he so choose. Going to kick things off with a Brainstorm. No better start to your morning than a Brainstorm with a Jace on board.
Yeah, and here Sam is not fetching. Sam cannot take this much damage. If he went like fetch...
Oh, Baneslayer Angel's going to change things completely here.
Yeah, that's... Jace and Baneslayer, kind of natural enemies of one another if facing each other, but together.
Now, the perfect partnership here between these 2 titans of previous standard formats, and they're going to do good work here. And Pardee, wow, he has got his work cut out for him here. Cycling away a hollow one, that's an act of a desperate man. But Baneslayer Angel going to completely turn this game around, could win Andrew Lopez the GP, and it's going to do it. Baneslayer Angel back in business. Jace the Mind Sculptor, best supporting actor, and congratulations to the trio of Courson, Perez, and Lopez, the champions of GP Detroit.
Really well played games by Andrew Lopez here with Jeskai. Really tight spots, really good. Maybe micro decisions I might have commented I'm not 100% sure on, but overall game plan and understood really what needed to happen and managed to take over that match.
Incredible. I mean,